Then Pallas Athena granted Tydeus' son Diomedes strength and daring, so the fighter would shine forth and tower over the Argives and win himself great glory. She set the man ablaze, his shield and his helmet flashing with tireless fire, like the star that flames at harvest, bathed in the ocean, rising up to outshine all other stars. Such fire Athena blazed from Tydeus' head and shoulders, drove him into the center where the masses struggled on. There was a Trojan, Dares, a decent, wealthy man, the god Hephaestus' priests, who had bred 2 sons, Fagles and Aeneas, trained for every foray. Breaking ranks, they rushed ahead in their chariot, charging Diomedes, already dismounted, rearing up on foot. They went for each other fast, close range. Fagles hurled first. His spear's shadow flew, and over Tydeus' left shoulder the tip passed and never touched his body. Tydeus hurled next. The bronze launched from his hand, and not for nothing. Hitting Fagles' chest between the nipples, it pitched him out behind its team. Aeneas leapt, abandoned the handsome car, and did not dare to stand and defend his dead brother. Not even so would he have fled in his black death, but the god of fire swept him off and saved him, shrouding the man in night so the old priest would not be wholly crushed with one son left. But high-hearted Tydeus drove away the team and gave them the aids to lash both horses back to the hollow ships. And now, despite their courage, the Trojan fighters, seeing the 2 sons of Dares, one on the run, one dead beside his chariot, all their hearts were stunned. But Athena, eyes bright, taking Ares in hand, called the violent god away with, Ares, destroyer of men, reeking blood, storm of ramparts, why not let these mortals fight it out for themselves? Let Zeus give glory to either side he chooses. We'll stay clear and escape the father's rage. And so, luring the headlong Ares off the lines, Athena sat him down on Scamander's soft, sandy banks, while Argives bent the Trojans back. Each captain killed his man. First, Agamemnon, lord of men, spilled the giant Odius, chief of the Halizonians, off his car, the first of all. As he veered away, the spearhead punched his back between the shoulders, gouging his flesh and jutting out through his ribs. He fell with a crash, his armor rang against him. Idomeneus cut down Phaestus, Maeonian border's son, who shipped to Troy from the good rich earth of Tana. As he tried to mount behind his team, the famous spearman stabbed a heavy javelin deep in his right shoulder. He dropped from his war car, gripped by the hateful dark. Then as Idomeneus' henchmen stripped the corpse, Menelaus took Scamandrius down with a sharp spear, Strophius, a crack marksman skilled at the hunt. Artemis taught the man herself to track and kill wild beasts, whatever breeds in the mountain woods, but the huntress showering arrows could not save him now, nor the archer's long shots, his forte in days gone by. No, now Menelaus, the great spearman, ran him through, square between the blades as he fled, and raced ahead, tearing into his flesh. Drilling out through his chest, he crashed face down, and his armor clanged against him. Meriones killed Pheroclus, son of Tecton, son of the blacksmith Harmon. The fighter's hands had the skill to craft all kinds of complex work, since Pallas Athena loved him most. Her protege, who had built Paris his steady, balanced ships, trim launches of death, freighted with death for all of Troy, and now for the shipwright too. What could the man know of all the gods' decrees? Meriones caught him quickly, running him down hard, and speared him low in the right buttock. The point, pounding under the pelvis, jabbed and pierced the bladder. He dropped to his knees, screaming, death swirling around him. Meges killed Pedius, Antenor's son, a bastard boy, but lovely Theano nursed him with close, loving care, like her own children, just to please her husband. Closing, Meges gave him some close attention too. The famous spearman struck behind his skull, just at the neck cord, the razor spear slicing straight up through the jaws and cutting away the tongue. He sank in the dust, teeth clenching the cold bronze. Iomon's son Eurypylus cut down brave Hypsenor, son of lofty Lidopion, a man of the Trojans made Scamander's priest, and worshipped like a god. But Euaemon's royal son laid low his son. Eurypylus, chasing Hypsenor, fleeing on before him, flailed with a sword, slashed the Trojan's shoulder, and lopped away the massive bulk of Hypsenor's arm. The bloody arm dropped to the earth, and red death came plunging down his eyes, the strong force of fate. So they worked away in the rough assaults. But Diomedes, well, which side was the fighter on? You could not tell. Did he rampage now with the Trojans or the Argives? Down the plain he stormed like a stream in spate, a routing winter torrent, sweeping away the dikes. The tight-piled dikes can't hold it back any longer. Banks shoring the blooming vineyards cannot curb its course. A flash flood bursts as the rains from Zeus pour down their power. Acre on acre the well-dug work of farmers crumbling under it. So, under Tydides' force, the Trojan columns panicked now. No standing their ground, massed, packed as they were. But the shining archer, Pandarus, mocked him, storming down the plain, smashing the Trojan lines before him. Quickly, he trained his reflex bow on Diomedes, charging straight ahead, and he shot. He struck him full in the right shoulder. Under the breastplates, hollow, the ribbing point tore deep, shearing its way through. Armor splattered with blood as Pandarus triumphed, shouting over Tydides wildly, "Move up! Attack! My hard-hearted Trojans! Lash your stallions! Look! The Achaean champion's badly wounded! I shot him down! I swear he won't last long, if the archer really sped me here from Lycia!" Bragging so. But the whizzing arrow had not brought him down. Diomedes just drew back beside his car and team and stood there, calling Sthenelus, Aeneas' son. "Quick, Sthenelus, down from the car, my friend! Pull this wretched arrow from my shoulder!" Sthenelus sprang from the car, hit the ground, and standing beside him, pulled the tearing arrow clean on through the wound, and blood came shooting out like a red lance through the supple mesh shirt. And Diomedes, lord of the war cry, prayed aloud, "Hear me, daughter of Zeus, whose shield is thunder, tireless one Athena. If you ever stood by far with all your love amidst the blaze of battle, stand by me. Do me a favor now, Athena. Bring that man into rage. Let me spear him. He's wounded me off guard, and now he triumphs. He boasts, I won't look long on the light of day." And so Tydides prayed, and Athena heard his prayer, put spring in his limbs, his feet, his fighting hands, and close beside him winged him on with a flight of words, saying, "Now, take heart, Diomedes. Fight it out with the Trojans. Deep in your chest I put your father's strength. He never quaked. That Tydeus, that great horseman, what force the famous shieldsman used to wield. Look, I've lifted the mist from your eyes that's blurred them up to now, so you can tell a god from man on sight. So now if a god comes up to test your mettle, you must not fight the immortal powers head on. All but one of the deathless gods, that is, if Aphrodite, daughter of Zeus, slips into battle, she's the one to stab your sharp bronze spear." Her eyes bright, Athena soared away, and Tydeus' son went charging back to the front line of champions. Now long ablaze as he was to fight the Trojans, triple the fury seized him. Claw mad as a lion, some shepherd tending woolly flocks in the field has just grazed a lion leaping into the fold, but he hasn't killed him, only spurred his strength, and helpless to beat him off, the man scurries for shelter, leaving his flocks panicked, lost as the ramping beast mauls them, thick and fast, piling corpse on corpse, and in one furious bound clears the fence yard. So raging Diomedes mauled the Trojans. There he killed Astainos, then had Pyrrhon, a front-line captain. One he stabbed with a bronze lance above the nipple, the other his heavy sword hacked at the collarbone, right on the shoulder, cleaving the whole shoulder, clear of the neck and back. And he left them there, dead. He made a rush at Abas and Polydas, sons of Eurydamas, an aged reader of dreams, but the old prophet read no dreams for them when they set out for Troy. Diomedes laid them low, then swung to attack the two sons of Phanos, hardy Xanthus and Thoon. Both men grown tall as their father shrank away with wasting age. He never breed more sons to leave his riches to. The son of Tydeus killed the two of them on the spot. He ripped the dear life proud of both, and left their father tears and wrenching grief. Now he never welcomed his two sons home from war, alive in the flesh, and distant kin would carve apart their birthright. Next, Diomedes killed two sons of Dardan Priam, careening on in a single car. Ecamon and Chromius, as a lion charges cattle, calves, and heifers browse in the deep glades and snaps their necks. So Tydeus pitched them both from the chariot, gave them a mauling, gave them little choice, quickly stripped their gear, and passed their team to his men to lash back to the ships. Smashing the lines of fighters now, but Aeneas marked it all, and oblivious to the rain of spears, he waded in, hunting for Pandarus, hoping to find the archer. Find him he did, Lycaon's skilled, fearless son, and went right up and challenged him to his face. Pandarus, where's your bow, your winged arrows, your archer's glory? No Trojan your rival here. No Lycian can claim to be or better, no. So up with you now. Lift your hands to Zeus. You whip an arrow against that man, whoever he is who routs us, wreaking havoc against us, cutting the legs from under squads of good, brave men. This is a god who smolders at our troops, enraged at a right we failed. When a god's enraged, there's thunder at our heads. And Lycaon's shining son took up the challenge. Aeneas, counselor of the Trojans, armed in bronze, he looks like Tydeus' son to me in every way. I know his shield, the hollow eyes of his visor, his team. I've watched them closely. And still I can never swear he's not a god. But if he's the man I think he is, Tydeus' gallant son, he rages so with a god beside him, not alone, no, a god, with his shoulders shrouded round in cloud, who deflects my shaft to a less mortal spot. I had already whipped an arrow into him, caught him square in the shoulder too, just where the breastplate leaves the armpit bare, and I thought I'd sent him down to the house of death, but I've still not laid him low. So it is some god rampaging, and here I am, no chariot, no team to speed me on. But back in Lycaon's halls are 11 war cars, beauties, all fresh from the smith, and fire new and blankets spread across them. Beside each a brace of stallions standing, poised and pawing, champing their oats and barley glistening white. Over and over, father, the old spearman Lycaon, urged me. Setting out from his well-built halls, he said, "Take those teams and cars," he told me. "Mount up, lead the Trojans into the jolting shocks of battle." But would I listen? So much the better if I had. I had to spare my teams. They never starve for fodder, crammed with the fighters, bred to eat their fill. So I left them there. I made it to Troy on foot, trusting my bows and arrows, and a lot of good I was to get from them. Already I've let fly 2 of their best men, Diomedes and Menelaus. I've hit them both, and the blood gushed from both direct hits, but I only roused their fury. What bad luck! To snatch this curved bow off its peg that day, I marched my Trojans hard to your lovely town of Troy to please Prince Hector. But if I get home again and set my eyes on my native land, my wife and my fine house with a high vaulting roof, let some stranger cut my head off then and there if I don't smash this bow and fling it into the fire. The gear I packed is worthless as the wind. Then Aeneas, the Trojan captain, checked him sharply. No talk of turning for home. No turning the tide till we wield and face this man with team and car and fight it with weapons, hand to hand. Come, up with you now. Climb aboard my chariot, so you can breed the Trojans' team their flair for their own terrain as they gallop back and forth, one moment in flight and the next in hot pursuit. They'll sweep us back to the city, back to safety, if Zeus hands Tydeus' son the glory once again. Quick, take up the whip and glittering reins. I'll dismount from the car and fight on foot, while you engage the man and lead the team to me.